Media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, where we take a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media and decide if they should be remembered for all of human history or tossed into the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again. My name is Steve, and with me is a guy who lives in a cardboard box next to the Maxx and Spawn. It's
Yahel. How are you doing, Steve?
And I must say, that's a very nice cardboard box you have there, sir, with the lighting
and
the Star Trek poster. Is that a poster or a towel, or what is that?
It's a towel. No, it's a
curtain.
What do you call them? Like flags? Kind of
I thought in like the Star Trek future there were no flags, or there shouldn't be, right? Because it's a utopia.
It's like a banner. I mean, there's still like no. There's the United Federation of Planets has a flag, Steven.
Okay.
That all the planets in the Federation are united under, of course.
I guess it's just not as much as a utopia as I thought it was.
Well, Steve, it's utopia here in my cardboard box, okay? Which I can afford thanks to not having children. And
wow, you just want the world to know. Wow.
I just need everybody to not have children for me.
So you just want the end of the human race, is what you're saying?
I mean, I have done my part. I have ended my family line with my vasectomy, so...
I can't believe we're still talking about that a whole week later. All right, congratulations.
Yeah, people want to hear about my testicles.
Yeah, that's what...
Welcome to A Vast Deference Now, is what we're naming the podcast.
Yeah, that's what everyone was talking about, and definitely not that chipmunk TikTok that we released. But yeah, so all right. Your testicles aside, we're here to talk about the Maxx animated series. Do you have any fond memories of the Maxx animated series? Did you watch it?
I don't think I watched it. I do remember it like commercials for it, and like maybe seeing bits and pieces of it here and there when it was on MTV, but I don't think I watched it.
It's because you just weren't cool enough, man. I mean, if you weren't watching MTV in the 90s, then you just weren't cool enough.
I mean, the thing is, I wasn't really into the Maxx comic either.
That was going to be my next question. So you never... So among all the... I just picture you like in a massive pile of Image comics, swimming through it like Scrooge McDuck in his money bin.
Right.
So but amongst all those Image comics, you didn't have one copy of a Maxx comic at all?
I don't think I ever did, because you're not gonna like this, Steve, but I was not a fan of Sam Kieth's art style.
No, I knew it. I mean, you've already been dropping breadcrumbs about how you actually feel about Sam Kieth's art through past episodes. Like, so, if you're one of those people that likes a good mystery, you should go back and just watch all of our episodes, or listen, and you'll hear how Yahel actually feels about Sam Kieth before you don't even need to watch it at this point, this episode.
Yeah. In fact, just turn this off. Just turn this off.
No, please don't. We need your eyeballs and ears. Please don't listen to him. He can't even give birth to a child.
I mean, Steve, I couldn't give birth to a child before the vasectomy either.
Not according to some
do you know how childbirth works?
I've heard that men can give birth these days, but that's a rabbit hole.
If you believe enough, hard enough. It's like that scene in Hook where they're trying to eat food, but there's no food on the table, and he just has to believe enough to make the food appear. Anyways, but I will say, I now as an adult, I can certainly appreciate Sam Kieth's art style. Mm-hmm. It's certainly unique. Mm-hmm. And he's not a bad artist. It just I was a dumb teenager. See, I was a dumb motherfucker. And
so when you were sitting in high school, you weren't one of those kids who was doodling in Is or the Maxx?
No, I didn't. All None of my comic book friends were into the Maxx either.
Because I knew
the only the Maxx I was into was located by Bayside High School. On Saved by the Bell.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Well, let's. Speaking of Sam Kieth's art, let's jump into the Obscuritron so people can see some of it. Let's do it.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
All right. Ooh, look at it. It's right there in your face, right there. There's the Maxx and Batman, and now the Maxx and Pitt. I mean, he was an A-lister back then who lives in a cardboard
Oh yeah,
box.
I forgot about Pitt. Yeah.
Do we need to cover Pitt? I don't think that counts as a founding father. Honestly, I don't even think Sam Kieth counts as a.
Yeah, I don't think Sam Kieth counts either.
But I think it's interesting enough and obscure enough to be on this show for sure. So. Can you recall the first time you actually saw Sam Kieth's art? Because I can.
Wow, this sounds like it was some kind of sexual awakening for you, the way that you're.
No, that was Jim Lee's Psylocke for me, buddy.
Oh, I see.
No.
For me, it was Rob Liefeld's pouches. Really got my pouch going, if you know what I mean. That sounds disgusting. I apologize.
The pouch that is no longer attached.
Steve, that's not how vasectomies work. Again, I do still have testicles.
This is the worst / greatest running gag in podcast history.
They do nothing to your testicles.
I know.
It's the best.
It's just a joke, man. All right. So when was the first time you saw Sam Kieth's art?
Yeah, I don't remember what he worked on before. He worked on like Batman, I think, right? Before this, maybe, or was it after?
No, Batman was later. I can tell you the first time I saw it. My parents.
Yeah, that's really what you want to get to, you fucking Sam Kieth sexual.
Well, I know you hate Sam Kieth and wish he was dead.
I don't hate whoa. I don't want him to die.
Look, all right, I'm here to say.
I don't want him to draw anymore.
That the first time. Damn. Actually,
I'm just kidding.
He's more of a writer these days, but we'll get to that. My parents put some comic books in my. Santa put some comic books in my stocking for Christmas. And do you remember Marvel Comics Presents? Do you remember those?
Vaguely.
They were kind of like their little anthology series, and it was like a flip book, just like Youngblood #1. And on one side, it was Wolverine, and on the other side, I believe, was a Ghost Rider. And then there were a few other stories in between. And that, I believe, was Sam Kieth's first Marvel work. And I don't know.
So remind me, Steve, on Marvel's Present, would it be the same like artists and writers that would do each story?
No. It was all.
So only one.
Yes.
So only one story had shitty artwork.
Oh, that's right. Rob Liefeld.
I actually really do appreciate his art. I should say now. I just, as a kid, like I said, I was stupid.
Sure. No, I mean, I was gonna say I kind of felt the same way. I was like, this Wolverine looks a little weird. But I went with it because it was Wolverine, and he was fighting that guy Cyber. I don't know if you remember that villain. I remember that I had a card of him or some guy in a blue thing with, big surprise, robotic arms. But I didn't like the fact that the story was so short, because that meant I had to find a way to find more money to purchase more Marvel Comics Presents. But now I've actually been seeking those out just because, I find it interesting to look at Sam Kieth draw Wolverine, or really anything for that matter. But I don't think he. So you never got around to reading a single Maxx comic ever?
Steve, is this gonna end our friendship? You're so.
No, I mean, I don't even.
I never read the Maxx. I didn't know what it was about.
Wow.
I think I might have seen bits and pieces of this show. I certainly remember commercials and that kind of thing. And you don't care. Are you blocking me on Skype right now?
No.
I have to block you here.
No, I mean, I won't say that Sam Kieth is my favorite. I always thought he was interesting, for sure. I mean, your dislike of his art is definitely not going to break up our friendship or the podcast.
I mean, again, I respect and like the art now. I don't know that I necessarily go out and buy his comic books, but when I was a kid, I thought it was awful. Where now I'm like, this is a really unique and cool art style. And his character designs are really cool too.
Yes, yeah, that is one thing that you can definitely say about the Maxx is that he's very recognizable. You know, one of the rules of like creating a lasting character is that you're supposed to be able to, recognize them by their silhouette, and I would say that's definitely true with the Maxx here.
Yeah, Sam Keith is almost like the inverse of Rob Liefeld in terms of feet.
He loves his feet, yeah, and
he loves drawing feet and making them huge.
And arched backs. He really likes arched backs, yeah. So yeah, just to dive into the comic here, obviously the Maxx, and just to be clear, I don't know if we've even said it, we are discussing the Maxx animated series, which was on MTV. But of course, the Maxx is based on the Image comic created by Sam Keith. The Maxx's first appearance was actually in Darker Image #1 in 1993. Did you have a copy of Darker Image #1?
I did not have a copy of Darker Image.
I figured everyone had. It's like one of those toilet paper issues that I thought everyone had.
Really? Dude, I don't. I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't even think I remember Darker Image, which is weird because, like, I mean, '93. I was still in deep in the comic book world. I would say my prescription to Wizard. My deep. Subscription to Wizard. Yeah, pouch is deep. Yeah. But yeah, no, don't remember that.
Well, Darker Image is basically just, again, like another sort of anthology book. I don't think they ever had a part 2, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was like the Maxx Death Blow. You remember poorly named Death Blow from Jim Lee. You remember Death Blow?
Yeah, I do remember. Sorry, I was looking at the Darker Image #1, and yeah, I don't remember the. Well, maybe the cover does look a little familiar. I probably saw the Maxx. I was like, oh, this is not for me.
And I remember there was a Rob Liefeld story / character in there as well. I think Blood Wolf or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was okay. Obviously kind of forgettable, but I guess worth remembering since it was the first appearance of the Maxx. Anyway, onward to the Maxx animated series, which is really just called the Maxx. It was part of MTV's Oddities, which I would say was sort of, this, again, almost like an anthology tale of animated stuff. First, it started with The Head. Do you remember The Head?
Yeah.
Did you watch The Head? What did you think of The Head?
Nope.
I didn't watch it either. I thought that was so stupid. It's like a giant head, and then a gremlin comes out, and I didn't really like the animation. Like, I tried watching it, and I'm surprised I didn't watch more of it because I was a huge fan of Liquid Television when that was on.
Yeah, me too. Liquid Television was awesome, man.
Yeah. I think it was just, I don't know, the story of the head just didn't do it for me. But anyway, I remember when they were showing the opening of MTV's Oddities, The Head, there was like a poster of the Maxx, like it was coming soon, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait for that. And then they came out with it, and here it is. It's actually touted as a mini series on IMDb, 13 really short episodes.
Yeah, they're about 11 minutes a piece or so.
And that just reminded me how many commercials like MTV had back in the day. I mean, I'm sure it hasn't changed, but I swear they had more commercials than any other channel on cable. And
well, like some shows, and they even do this now where some, like in an hour, they'll take either 6 or 8 commercial breaks. It just depends how the show's broken up. But the total runtime of the commercials doesn't change. But it certainly feels like there's more commercials when, for me at least, when they're split up into shorter blocks.
Right, I gotcha. But anyway, this cartoon premiered April 8th, 1995. And here is a series synopsis. Confused, hulking, homeless superhero, the Maxx, tries to protect his social worker and friend Julie from an omniscient serial killer, Mr. Gone, both in the real world, which may or may not actually be real, and the subconscious fantasy world. And this was directed by Greg Vanzo, who has directed episodes of The Simpsons, The Critic, Beavis and Butthead, and Ren and Stimpy. I almost said Ran. I don't know why.
I'm surprised you didn't mention that he also was in the animation department of RoboCop 3.
Oh, did I miss? Huh, I don't know how I
The
missed
greatest RoboCop of them all.
Animation department. What did they have a need to? I mean, I guess they had to animate some.
It's probably something in the special effects. Probably.
Yeah.
Special
Wow, I can't believe I missed that. Good save. You've kept your job for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the writers here, the first one is Greg Ickler, who's touted as the story editor. He's worked on Married with Children, Rugrats, Beavis and Butthead, and then, of course, Sam Keith, the creator himself. He's worked on, I guess there's a Sandman TV show that's coming out that he wrote for. Lucifer.
It's I don't think it's a TV show. It's like an audio
Right.
book.
I saw he wrote on that as well, but no, I think it's in production.
Oh wait, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a TV series here.
And then
100%
Lucifer, Black Scorpion, and one of these days it might be worth us to take a look at the movie he directed called To the Limit, because I hear it's pretty bad. And the last writer is Bill Messner-Loebs, and he worked on Superman Doomsday, the animated movie, and the Death of Superman animated movie. And of course,
Oh, those are actually all pretty good.
yeah,
Those
I
animated
like
movies.
those. And this was produced by Image Comics and MTV Animation. And why don't you take us through this stellar cast?
Oh, star fucking studded. I'm not gonna go over everybody, but there's also not a ton of characters, anyways. At least in the first 2 episodes that we watched. First, we have Michael Haley, who plays does the voice for the titular the Maxx. That's all he ever did. He did the voice of the Maxx, and he's like, I'm good. I've had enough. And honestly, he does a pretty good job. So
Right.
I'm kind of surprised
he's
he
pretty good.
didn't do more work. Maybe Sam Keith killed him.
Wow, what a revelation!
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're just talking. This is just talk, Steve. Then we have Glynis Tacken, who did the voice of Julie Winters. And she did some other voiceover work in some video games, but I mean, it was literally just like 1, 2, 3, like 4 video games between 1995 and 2011.
Wow.
And again, really weird because she's very good as well.
Right, she is good.
But I did notice that she was a storyboard artist for StarCraft, the video game. So I wonder if maybe she just does more stuff in the video game world,
Right.
and that stuff isn't always added to people's IMDb's. So, but anyways, it's kind of a bummer she didn't do more stuff. We also have Amy Danless, who plays the voice of Sarah. She basically has done a few more things than everybody else, but not much. A few TV shows, the Brittany Murphy story, but she hasn't done anything since 2014, and her IMDb list is like about 8 projects long. And then finally, we've got, well, not finally, but we've got Barry Stigler as the voice of Mr. Gone, who isn't even credited as the voice in the credits, so that's nice. He actually did had quite a few credits, voiceover work stuff, basically like Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell. So did a lot of anime kind of stuff. And then finally we have Tony Fusel, one of the only 2 people who has like a freaking picture in their IMDb, and the only one that seems to still be working, mostly as an animator in shows. And movies like The Incredibles, Soul, and most recently SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, you think maybe MTV was just like, hey, who here wants to do a voice? Talking to like their regular voices their regular workers who are like animators, normally animators and stuff. And there's people were like, I'll give it a shot. And then
maybe. I mean, they were good.
Well, yes, the regular cast was good, but there was one particular scene where it was bad. The scene when they're in the laundromat, and then that dude comes back to find his like girl murdered. Well, we'll get to that in the walkthrough.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of,
you're talking about the guy that played his voice, right?
Yes.
The boyfriend.
Yeah.
That was
absolutely awful.
Thankfully, he didn't have a lot of lines, but you know what? He didn't need a lot to show you how awful he is.
I swear they must have just gotten like the coffee guy. It's like, hey, or the craft services. They're like, hey, we need an extra voice. Get in there.
He spoke like someone who had just learned how to use his mouth that day.
It's true. Absolutely. All right, so jumping right into the episode here, and we're doing 2 episodes because they're just so short. I mean, this episode would just fly by. And we know how much you guys love us and listening to us talk about Yahel's vasectomy. So, all right, so we got a classic opening here with the voiceover explaining the premise of the Maxx. This time over some very Twin Peaks sounding jazz music. What did you think of the opening of the Maxx straight off?
Pretty cool, actually. Really liked it. Kind of noirish. Noirish.
Oh, yeah. Man, it really felt like this takes place in the same universe as Spawn. I know they don't look the same, like as far as the art style and everything, but I really felt like just a few blocks down the road, Spawn was ripping dudes apart with chains.
Dude, I actually was thinking the same thing. The art style doesn't look the same, but like the look of the show in terms of like the backgrounds and the colors used, it definitely feels similar in style. Like this could easily have been a show that you would have expected, a larger, or maybe not larger, but a higher quality producer of content like HBO to have produced.
Right. Absolutely. So we open in a dark alleyway. It's raining, and we hear like the Max's thoughts, or what we think is his thoughts, as we do a slow push-in on the Max's cardboard box. He talks about the TV show Cheers and says he doesn't have a TV show or a TV anymore, but he remembers them well in his mind.
He said the TV shows in his mind are better.
Right.
Usually
that's what he said. Yeah. A random woman gets dropped off by Max's alley, and 2 shady dudes by the name of T-Bone and Fridge loom in the shadows, looking at her. Max's VO then tells us that the cab driver drops off random women there on purpose, so those 2 dudes can then rob them. And then the cab driver gets a cut. Ooh, that's shady business. Or that's risky business. I don't know why they always said that back then. All right, so the 2 dudes, they pounce on her. And as like one of the guys is like, I guess beating her up, a penny falls out of her purse and it rolls all the way over to the Max's box, which is pretty cool and cinematic. T-Bone follows it, and then the Maxx pounces on him, and then the other guy, Fridge, follows. The Maxx then extracts his claws, ready to strike, and we think we're going to see like a cool like throwdown. Then the cops show up and arrest the Maxx. So what do you think about all that stuff that just happened?
It was pretty cool. And then the funny one thing you didn't mention is that throughout all this, we hear, again, what we think are the Max's thoughts. Because he's talking about how he's going to save her. Sometimes, like, people are saved by fate. Sometimes it's whatever. And as we hear him talking, he's like, he says something like, and sometimes it's me. And then the cops show up and they say, or sometimes it's us.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh crap, I was talking out loud.
Yeah,
again.
That was really funny. Making fun again of like film noir, the film noir trope of like hearing the character's thoughts. Yeah, that was it was really funny. I wasn't expecting that. I don't remember it in the slightest.
And it's something where like you really got to watch it to appreciate it. I think I know it doesn't sound funny when it's described, but it really subverts. It does a good job of subverting the audience expectation and kind of sets the tone to like not necessarily, you're not necessarily going to see what you expect to see.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's basically what, the Maxx is. It's a very anti-hero superhero. And I just thought it was funny that Image had 2 homeless superheroes when they were launching. It's pretty funny. But anyway, moving on, the camera pans away back to the woman. And she's like getting up, gathering herself, and another shady dude stands above her. This is the main antagonist slash a villain by the name of Mr. Gone. He grabs her and then she screams. And basically we cut to the interior of a cop car, and inside is the Maxx in the back seat. How would you describe how this was animated slash filmed?
I don't remember it being like any different than the rest of the show.
Oh no, like those, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so like the exterior looks like it was obviously filmed in real life, and then they dropped like a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And the two cops, I'm pretty sure they were real too. They just threw like a black like silhouette over them, and then you have an animated Maxx in the back seat. And yeah, this felt very liquid television to me. I really liked how they were, just sort of pushing the boundaries of what animation or, an animated superhero show could be. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. There's also some CGI elements too in the show here and there, which 1995, you don't see that very often. In fact, I feel like the very beginning when the camera's pushing forward into his cardboard box, I think like that was a combination of CG and animation.
I felt that as well. So anyway,
it's done really well. And one good thing about Sam Kieth's style is that you would think that like having these weird blends of like live action, animated, and CG would be jarring, especially in 1995. With the quality that can be done with that stuff. But because his style is so like weird and off the wall, it really works.
Oh yeah. This was the Maxx was basically the perfect comic book for MTV at the time, because they were all very into like sort of subversive entertainment, like doing the opposite of what your parents' networks were doing, like NBC and all that stuff. So the two cops talk, and they say they don't remember seeing a woman victim, which, that's a little. I guess you can assume that the cops are corrupt as well, because this is like the saddest, most depressing city like you've ever been to, outside of the Spawn animated series.
Yeah.
Through the windshield outside, the world looks very, as we were saying, very psychedelic. As the cops talk, the Maxx just sort of slowly sinks into the seat, and he thinks to himself, says he's out of control. He gets headaches, and then he starts imagining that he's in the Australian outback. Not the outback that you were taught in school, Yahel, but like the real outback, which has a bunch of weird animals in it. Like basically, it's just this like sort of fantasy world where he imagines that he is. At this point, a bunch of arms shoot out. All right, so we're in this outback world, and the Maxx is like laying on the ground, and a bunch of white hands shoot out and start and grab the Maxx. And then he starts talking. All right, he mentions the animals, and he also mentions the Leopard Queen, who is basically his social worker, Julie, and she's like this, majestic-looking, jungle woman or something. And it inspires him to free himself. So he cuts all the hands and jumps up. Then we cut back to present day. What do you think about this dual world, like the Australian outback? What do you think about all that stuff?
It's cool. Like I remember because I would see like, even though I wasn't reading the Maxx, I'd see images from it like in Wizard or whatever. And I was, I had no idea what the hell any of that stuff was. So I think it does a pretty good job, though, of like kind of setting things up. I will say the first episode in particular, the first two episodes kind of do a lot of telling and not showing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
However, which I usually am not a fan of. However, I'm kind of willing to forgive it because these are short 11-minute episodes. So in some ways, you can't take your time, right, and do a bunch of showing. And some of this stuff is so odd, you kind of need an explanation, just to be given to you.
Decompressed storytelling, I believe they call it. So we cut back to present day. We're in an office, and we see a woman. It's basically a Julie, who looks just like the Leopard Queen, sitting across from a weird-looking old dude. And she asks him questions, so she can get him some social assistance. He's like really weird and isn't really answering the questions. It sounds like one of my favorite bands, Man or Astroman, is playing in the background.
Man, talk about obscure.
Yeah, I meant to check the credits to see if that was actually them or not. But, Surf.
Well, apparently they're not even giving credit to people that did voices on the show. So.
Wow. Yeah. So the man says she looks like she dresses like a hooker.
Steve, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I noticed on the stream you're very low in volume compared to me, and I've actually turned my mic down. I've turned my mic down.
Good in the test. Hello, check. How about now?
Let me see. It's behind a little bit, so.
Check.
That was better.
Okay.
It's better.
All right. So the man says she looks like she dresses like a hooker, and basically she kicks him out. She gets another call, and it's Mr. Gone. He says that he did it all for her. She freaks out and hangs up. Then she gets a call from the cops, and they tell her basically to come pick up the Maxx. So this is basically like her interaction with this dude is basically one of many sort of interactions where a woman is getting, how can you put it, talked down to about her appearance or misogyny, basically, right? I mean, there's quite a bit of that just in these two 11-minute episodes. And yeah, if you know basically the story about how it unfolds and stuff, I mean, it seems like a lot at first. Like, basically, I'm like, man, does anything positive ever happen in this city? But yeah, like it all sort of feeds into what eventually becomes the theme of the Maxx as you progress through the story, if you decide to take that ride. Any comments about that interaction in the office?
I mean, it's fine. It's it was very like you said, like it does seem like a lot. Like people are the people who are jerks on this show are like cartoonishly
It's really
jerky.
they really beat you over the head with it, basically.
Yeah, like the assholes are real fucking assholes in this. But and like you mentioned earlier, I mean, we do kind of also when she interacts with the cops, kind of she alludes to the corruption with the cops in the city and stuff. So, like, who is wanting to live in this city?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost kind of how I felt like with the Spawn animated series, that it's almost too much. Like you really have to sort of suspend your disbelief and kind of just go with it.
Yeah. And now, to be fair, in the second episode, we do see that like couple. I think it's in the second episode where the boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever, and they're having like a normal kind of positive interaction. I mean, until she gets murdered or whatever happens.
Well, but even in that scene, he is trying to get some from her. So it just, to me, it almost.
Oh yeah, he's being like real touchy feely, and she doesn't want it. Yeah, you're right. Real rapey vibes from that guy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's basically the vibes for most of the male characters in this, aside from the Maxx himself, is just like. Everyone's like a perv out to try to get sex from women, but the Maxx is there to, I guess, to help out.
Now, just to play devil's advocate here, we only meet like 3 male characters or so, something like that. So, I mean, yeah, there's a large percentage of them are like rapey assholes, but it's not like we're meeting like 15 characters and they're all like that. It's only a handful.
For sure. So, all right. So she gets, she arrives at the police station and signs out the Maxx. She, again, like the police officer insulted. I don't know if it was her clothing or something, but whatever. We've already touched on that. She signs out the Maxx, gets the Maxx out of prison. Maxx says that his mask bit the hand of one of the cops. I don't know why they would let him go on that, but I guess we can just assume that their prison system is overflowing with, detainees. So they just.
Or maybe they're just more interested in the payoff that she eventually ends up bringing.
Right. True. So they walk into the horizon, and in the foreground, We see the jacket of Mr. Gone, and we hear/see an Iz laugh. How would you describe an Iz if someone has never seen an Iz before?
Oh my God. It kind of, I would say like, the 7-Up spot.
Well, that's good. I was just going to say a little black gremlin. Yeah.
Like an evil mutated 7-Up spot, like a Bizarro 7-Up spot.
Yeah. Who's all black but has really white, snarling teeth. And and they just...
Yeah. And he's not carbonated.
No, definitely not. That's good. Wow, that's a great comparison. So now we're already in episode 2, and we open in the Mystical Outback. The Maxx tells us about some of the weird animals in the Outback, including the Iz. Cut to the present, and we're in the city. And there's like a really long sweeping pan over several buildings while Julie tells us about her relationship with the Maxx. And yeah, this is definitely lends to what you were saying, that there was a lot of showing, or no, a lot of telling and not showing.
A lot of telling,
I just would have rather have seen them interact with one another instead of the pan was interesting. You get to sort of see what all these random people are doing in the city.
Yeah.
I guess I assume that's how it was in the comic. I can't even remember. But the Maxx says he told her, or she tells us that the Maxx told her about being a superhero in another world, and of course she thinks that he's crazy. And then the pan finally stops on the sleeping Maxx, who is at Julie's place on the couch, and he's dreaming about the Outback. Julie wakes him up, gives him a hat and coat so he won't be as conspicuous, and then once again we pan across the city and land on a laundromat. As we were saying, the dude, they're just sort of sitting back to back, talking, and the dude tries to feel her up, but she spurns his advances and sends him out to get Cokes and sandwiches, I think. Then, of course, Mr. Gone shows up. He does a nice monologue and then lets loose a bunch of Izzes. Anything to comment on that scene there?
No, the animation was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. When Mr. Gone shows up, like his, I don't know what you'd call
trench
it,
coat.
like a big trench coat, just like growing and expanding, almost Spawn-like in the way it's like,
absolutely,
kind of covering, engulfing the laundromat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, another asshole, this universe, and when the boyfriend, or I guess they're technically not boyfriend and girlfriend.
Right.
But because as he walks back, he very poorly says, because the voice actor, unfortunately, not the greatest, says that like, oh, if you and I, if you're going to make me get burgers and Coke all the time, then we're going steady. And if we're going steady, that means, but before he can say, I get to rape you, we see that he sees whatever's been done to her. We don't get to see it as the audience, and he kind of has this shocked gasp.
Right.
Look on his face.
Yeah, but then the voice acting does not, delineate that that kind of emotion at all. It's
right.
He just goes, oh, or something like that. Just
right.
It's awful. As a voice actor, I'm insulted. So yeah, dude comes back, finds the girl murdered, and now we're back with the Maxx and Julie. Julie kicks the Maxx out, or basically not really kicks him out, but just like sort of shows him the door. And then once again, she answers the phone, and it's Mr. Gone. And she actually looks out the window and sees an Iz at a payphone. Ooh, we just dated this show, Yahel. There's a payphone. And then the Maxx, as he's walking by, he goes, that guy has 2 phones. What's going on here? And so the Maxx then, and it's an Iz, and he's holding, I guess, a cell phone up to this payphone so Mr. Gone can talk to Julie and I guess not get traced. And the Maxx, he sees the Iz and chases it. He traps it in a dumpster, but it gets away. And then it just ends up, they go through the city a bit. It falls to its death at the feet of Mr. Gone. And then Mr. Gone asks the Maxx if he remembers him. And the Maxx says no, and Mr. Gone's like really surprised. He once again, we get a beautiful shot of him opening up his trench coat, his huge black trench coat, and unleashing just like a sea of ises. And then that's the end of the episode, which, I mean, they do a good job of leaving it on a cliffhanger. I mean, I remember when I was watching this back in the day, it definitely made me want to tune in, despite having to sit through the huge amount of commercials that MTV had at the time. But those were the times, right, Yahel?
Yeah, those were the days. But it was, again, it's only about 11 minutes, so it's pretty brisk watch. We watched the first couple episodes, and well, what did you are you ready to
yeah, let's do it.
Motivated. That's the question.
So, Yahel Velazquez, do you think the Maxx should be remembered for all of humanity, or tossed in the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
I say keep it. Really cool art style. The animation's like very high quality, especially for the 90s. It looks great. I mean, honestly, outside of this being like, in 4:3 aspect ratio, like it doesn't feel dated at all. Maybe stuff like the payphone or whatever, but like, this could come out like today, and it would fit right in with like anything else coming out today.
Right.
So yeah, well, what say ye?
Oh, of course, I say keep it as well. I must say I'm really surprised that you decided to save it. I thought we'd be doing a stalemate for sure. Do you think watching this as a show, it's more palatable as the comic? Like, do you think you would actually sit down and read the comic just to see what happens?
I mean, no, probably not.
Well, there you go. That's the answer then.
I would probably like read like a Wikipedia summary of what happens or something, but I don't think I'd go back and like read the comic. I feel like Sam Kieth's art style, even though like again I can respect it now, I actually feel like it lends itself better to animation than just like regular drawings. Something about it feels like very cool and dynamic when it's animated, to me at least.
I could see that. Well, then I guess we are going to be saving the Maxx. Here we go.
In accordance to Obscurity Now, the most important streaming YouTube podcast in all of the internet, you shall be remembered. Yes. Good show. Good show.
All right. Well, that just flew by, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the Maxx, everyone. You should check it out. I think you could pay like a couple bucks to watch it on Amazon Prime, or I mean, if you read the comic, it really is like a panel for panel, almost the same as the animated series, and it lasts for a lot longer as well. There's also much later. I remember there was like when we were in the Obscuritron, there was a cover for it. The Maxx and Batman met up. I don't know if you want to see Sam Kieth draw Batman, but he did.
I don't. I'm not a fan of that. But,
and apparently,
Batman just looks weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think he's just better for his Pit looked pretty good on that cover of the Pit.
Yeah. But the Pit kind of is very similar to the Maxx in proportion.
I agree.
I will say I did look up a little bit of information about the animated series, and it covers Darker Image #1, Maxx 1/2. Oh God, remember when they used to do that?
Oh yeah.
And issues 1 through 11 of the Maxx itself.
There you go.
So it really only goes up to issue 11 of the Maxx.
And there's a total of, at least in the first story, a total of 33 episodes. I wrote this down, so I might as well just give the accurate information. It is a total of 35 issues for like the first run, and then he did a sequel later for IDW, if I'm not mistaken. And also some other fun facts is that everyone's favorite walking pair of abs, Channing Tatum, He and I guess his producer, they were talking about making a Maxx movie, bringing it to the big screen. But
oh wow,
just like the Gambit movie, didn't work out.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean, who was he gonna play? I mean, he could play Mr. Gone. That guy was like naked most of the time. But I definitely don't see him playing the Maxx. And
I bet the Maxx would be like a CG character or something.
Oh, you gotta have someone in there who could do it. Danny DeVito. There you go.
Oh my God.
Hey, Julie, come here.
So I know you mentioned that you can pay a couple bucks and watch per episode to watch it on Prime, but so Steve, you being a Sam Kieth sexual may find this of interest. There's a DVD available exclusively through Amazon, and there's audio commentary on each episode from and interviews with Sam Kieth.
So it's not the original MTV DVD that was released?
I don't know if that includes, because the MTV one, it looks like that was a VHS.
Oh, all right. I get what you're saying. Oh, that's interesting.
So this is like something. It looks like this is something different. So
yeah. Support physical media. Since did you hear like Sony just did away with a bunch of people's paid movies that they paid for from the
digital movies. Yeah, they just pulled them.
There you go. And one last little fun fact is some dude. He actually programmed a Maxx game for the Atari Jaguar. That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for some sort of contest or something. I mean, it's just barely mentioned on the Wikipedia. But this guy, I guess just.
What was the contest? See how many women you can turn off with your hobbies.
Hey, baby, guess who just programmed a Maxx video game? Booyah!
Man, that's killing two birds with one stone, the Maxx and programming for the Jaguar.
Three birds, because you're also killing your love life as well.
And I say this as somebody who has an Atari Jaguar and a few Atari Jaguar homebrew games.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a homebrew game for the Atari Jaguar. Yeah. But,
I don't know, but I might have to put it on my Jaguar EverDrive thing, which I sadly also have. I've played every single Jaguar game, Steve. They're not good.
Well, the Aliens vs. Predator one was good, wasn't it? I remember that was
that one's all right.
That's the only good game, or the only game I remember playing back in the 90s for a
that
Jaguar.
One's okay. I mean, there's a couple games that are okay, but I mean, I wouldn't say I feel most of them are pretty bad. Even like people say Atari Karts, which is their version of Super Mario Kart, is a good game. No, that game's terrible. I don't know. I guess it's fine for an Atari Jaguar game. It's just a lot of the games feel unfinished to me.
Well,
get yourself a CDI. Don't mess with Atari Jaguar business.
This sounds like a future episode for sure. But as for next week, we will be talking about another Image comic. We'll have the next couple of weeks. We'll be finishing out the summer of Image. It's either going to be Cyberforce, Shadowhawk, or Wetworks. Hey, someone showed up. Who do we got here?
See the replay. Said never got a chance to get a Jaguar. Jaguar should. I think he meant should have done it back then. Did score a 3DO used with OG box. Oh yeah, 3DO. That actually does have some.
Yeah,
great
but
games.
What do you think about the Maxx Seether play? I'm just gonna sit here and wait for him to respond. No.
Steve, people are not gonna be into the Maxx as much as you are. You're.
Hey, you're into
sucking
it now.
on the teat of Sam Kieth.
You've been.
I mean, I did like the animated show.
You've been maximized. You're a Maxxisexual.
Jesus Christ. I'm quitting the podcast.
I think it's funny. All right, so we just spent 40 minutes talking about the Maxx, and it wasn't until we started talking about the Atari Jaguar that someone jumped in. I don't know. I think that's funny. Never heard of it. All right, good. We'll check it out. Good guy. We'll dub you an Obscurian if you actually watch it. One thing I've been meaning to no need to apologize.
No worries, see the replay.
We are glad that you're here.
Joshing.
Yeah, for sure. One thing the last thing I want to do is manage any more social media, whatever. But I set up an Obscurity Now group in Facebook. Also, I know everyone hates Facebook and everyone's leaving it and whatnot. But I've seen other people Like, use it to their other podcasts, use it to their advantage. So it's Obscurity Now, Obscura posting. If anyone wants to go in there and suggest something for us to cover. And if you hate Facebook, then we still have Twitter. You can just leave a comment here in YouTube and let us know what you think about the Maxx. Were we right for saving it, or should it have been banished? Like, I'd like to know what you think. Anything else to add here before we sign off, Mr. Velazquez?
No. You can also follow us on TikTok. We're at Reptilian Media there. I've included the link for Twitter in the chat. I definitely was pleasantly surprised by the Maxx.
Good.
Not surprised that you loved it. A little surprised by how deeply you loved it. See the replay. You missed Steve recounting his first sexual experience, which apparently was the first time he saw the Maxx. Or Sam Keith's art.
It was the first Sam Keith experience. It had nothing to do with sex, you pervert. You're no better Steve. Than those no good males in the Maxx universe who are just going.
Steve, you asked me if I remembered the first time I saw Sam Keith's art the way you would ask somebody if they remember their first time, to recall their first time having sex. It was very similar in vibes.
Oh, someone's like blowing things out of proportion here.
I know what you'd like to be blowing.
Oh, Steve. I will say, just to say something negative to show that I'm not a complete Sam Keith mark, is that since I know the way that the story is going, like seeing it again kind of makes me not want to again. So it's a kind of a one and done, I would say, but there's still a lot of issues that I haven't read of the Maxx, so I think I will keep going. But anyway, that is our show. We'll see you next Sunday as we continue to discuss even more obscure media only on Obscurity Now. See you later.
Thanks.
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.